Mr. Speaker, sir, the private notice question is addressed to the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communication, Minister for Rodrigues, Out Islands and Territorial Integrity. Whether in regard to persons gone missing and not found, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to the number thereof, being A, Mauritian citizens, distinguishing between male and female, and excluding those who disappeared at sea for years 2019 and 20, and since January 21 to date, categorized as follows: below the age of 12, between 12 and 18, Alzheimer's sufferers and mentally impaired, aged and handicapped, and others, and B, expatriate workers presently missing and who were reported as such by their employers.
For the period 2019 to date, 1,525 persons were reported missing, out of whom 1,448 persons were successfully located by the police and found safe. 24 were found dead, and 53 persons are reported as still missing. With regard to calendar year 2019, 773 Mauritian citizens, excluding those lost at sea, were reported missing. For calendar year 2020, 574 persons were reported missing, whereas for the period January 2021 to date, the figure stands at 178. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the number of missing persons in the different categories is as follows. Below the age of 12, for the year 2019 nil, 2020 nil, January 2021 to date nil. Between 12 and 18 years old, 2019 3 males, 2020 2 male plus 1 female, January 2021 to date 1 male and 2 females. Alzheimer's sufferers and mentally impaired persons, 2019 nil, 2020 nil, January 2021 to date nil. Aged and handicapped, 2019 1 male and 1 female, 2020 1 female, January 2021 to date 2 males. Others, 2019 5 males and 1 female, 2020 16 males and 1 female, January 2021 to date 14 males and 2 females. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to Part B of the question, I am informed by the Passport and Immigration Office that the number of expatriates reported missing by their employers is 2,224 as at date, comprising 2,126 males and 98 females.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask the Prime Minister, the figures that is given appear on the low side compared to what has been publicly been said by the police. And also I note that he says no Alzheimer's sufferers are still missing, but I know of a case in his own constituency, number 8, where I think it's Mr. Mohan, if the name is right, is still missing. Perhaps the Prime Minister, I know he hasn't had much notice, can ask for the figures to be double-checked. They do seem to be very much on the low side compared to what the police have been releasing recently.
Now, if the Honourable Leader of the Opposition has a specific case which he just mentioned, if it can be provided to me, the details of which, of course, I will check with the police to find out.
So I'd like to ask the Prime Minister that there have been reports in the press, and I've spoken to some of these families, that the system put in place by the police is not adequate in that it's police stations taking care of it, just uniformed police usually, and the families feel that not enough attention is rapidly given to their cases, and often, if it's too late, you find the missing person already dead. So would the Prime Minister consider speaking to the Commissioner of Police to see that, as in other countries, you would have a specialized squad, a specialized unit, maybe in each district headquarters, that could take missing persons as their main objective, and therefore make sure that this is always followed up, and cases, whether they be 1 year or 10 years old, remain active and live?
Well, I can assure the Honourable Leader of the Opposition that whenever there is a case reported of a person missing, if that person, of course, is not being able to be traced out within 24 hours, there is a huge deployment within the police force. Now, whether we should have a specialized unit, I don't know.
Mr. Speaker, why I'm saying this? Because I've taken the trouble to download the missing person website from the Mauritius Police Force. Now, I say the PASMO, the Prime Minister has given 53 only in the last 2.5 years. Are you aware, Mr. Speaker, is the Prime Minister aware that the last apparent posting on this Mauritius Police Force website was in 2013, nearly 10 years ago, 2013. And it's only got 11 persons on it, whereas since that time to date, there are hundreds probably still missing. So this is why, Mr. Speaker, my point is, it's obvious that there are some lacunas in the way that the police are dealing with it. And I can take other examples to show that there are lacunas and there should be a specialized unit. It is where its main objective to drive the fight, the finding, the tracing of these persons. I will table, Mr. Speaker, for your knowledge.
I'm not aware about the website.
Take this website as an example, Mr. Speaker. There are not even pictures on the website, just the names of the persons. So if we take that as an example of how the police is treating missing persons, you will see that they are not giving it the importance that the tragedy represents for each family. It's a question of amount, of effort. And Mr. Speaker, therefore, please let's raise this with perhaps the Prime Minister can raise it with the Commissioner of Police. But I mean, there is no national missing persons database that you can look at, that is public, that people can check. So also, Mr. Speaker, the feeling is that there's only limited publicity given to each person who has disappeared. So what can the Prime Minister? It's a question. I'm sorry. It's not a political PNQ. It's a question of human tragedy and human suffering. Can I appeal to the Prime Minister that there be much more attention given to the missing persons, because this is we have just had two recently found dead, two ladies found dead. This is a national tragedy, and we must look at it more seriously from the police point of view.
Let me say we must use all possible avenues and, of course, use the technology also to try to resolve, in this case, missing persons.
Let me move on to Safe City. Now, the Safe City project, we were told, has facial recognition software. I mean, are these missing persons, are there pictures being put on the Safe City Safe City system so that we can try and retrace them?
This software is not yet in operation. It will come.
Date when it will be operational?
I don't have a date.
I also asked the Prime Minister whether, with telephones now, you can track the telephone where it is, even if it's off, you can track the telephones. Are the police using telephone tracking systems to find the person that is reported missing?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, of course, I am not aware of the way that the investigations take place, the methods that are being used in order to try to track a person who is missing.
Prime Minister might want to check, because it's apparently not the case, and if it is the case, they wait for judges' orders, it takes months, etc. So the system needs to be completely redynamized. Mr. Speaker, as far as Alzheimer sufferers are concerned, there are about 5,000 Alzheimer sufferers. Now, we've just been shown that there's a lot of money in the budget. Isn't it time, Mr. Speaker, that we could offer at least lower-income persons, the pensioners, a tracking device for those suffering from Alzheimer? It's a bracelet, it's not expensive. Is that something that you could consider?
Well, I take note of this proposal from the Honourable Leader of the Opposition to try to...
Mr. Press upon that, that would be a very good case of where privacy can be lifted so that we can find the persons that are missing quickly as possible, because time is of the essence in all these issues. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, concerning now unidentified bodies in morgues, would the Prime Minister have the number of, we're talking about people not found and people who are lying in morgues are obviously dead, and how many bodies do we have at the moment? Would you know?
Yeah, I have been communicated this... here it is. So, for 2019, we have 2 unidentified human remains and dead bodies. And then for 2020, 3.
Can I ask the Prime Minister, as far as the DNA tests are concerned? Now, I'm told that in other countries, DNA tests take only a few days. In Mauritius, when we are looking at these dead bodies, etc., DNA test takes 3 to 6 months. Would the Prime Minister know why this is the case?
I wouldn't know, but of course I will look into that.
If I may now come to the foreigners, Mr. Speaker, I think there are something like 2,400 which are missing. That is a very large number for such a small island like Mauritius. Can the Prime Minister tell us why it is, what is the difficulty in tracing those persons?
Well, the difficulty, I must say that, first of all, the cases have to be reported by the employers, and then all the detailed information must be provided.
Mr. Speaker, it's about, what, less than, well, more than 5% at least of the expatriates in Mauritius are missing at the moment. Does that, what measures will the government propose, given that now we are going to open to students of all sorts, to other people like that? What measures will the government take to ensure that this doesn't happen over and over again now with students coming from all over, supposedly to study in Mauritius, if we can't even find the people who are here at the moment?
Well, as I say, there is a committee which has been set up to look into that. But there are a few measures that have already been taken. For example, the Bank of Mauritius has instructed all its licensees to review their guidelines such that banking transactions by foreign workers are undertaken.
Mr. Speaker, my last question concerns the U.S. State Department report of June 2020. And this is what the U.S. State Department said. The National Steering Committee on Human Trafficking was inactive. It is headed by the PMO, I believe. Was inactive since a change in leadership in March 2019. Can the Prime Minister tell us whether this National Steering Committee is still inactive or whether it has now restarted its work?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm personally looking into the report, the findings of this report, although I must say I do not entirely agree with those findings. But anyway, we have to address this issue because, of course, it is a report which has been rendered public by a country with whom we have very good and friendly relations. But I have been in touch with different units, different authorities in order to address this issue.